Hello, happy Friday. I'm just gonna do a quick little Q&A. I'm gonna do my makeup. So, let me know what questions you guys have. Okay, I'm gonna clip my bangs back real quick, yeah, let me know what questions you guys have, training, nutrition, whatever it is related, and I'm happy to answer. My nose is still running. It's been like that for, I don't know. I feel like everyone has just had like remnants of sickness for like this entire winter season. Oh man. Okay. Amanda, hello. Mare, what's up? Tony, hello. Andy, what's up? Thoughts on intermittent fasting? So it's just another way to hit your overall calories. If it helps you to stay within a deficit because you're limiting your calories, because you're limiting the amount of time that you have to eat that, go for it. It's not more or less beneficial than anything else, though. The only thing that matters in terms of your progress is going to be, in terms of weight loss, is going to be making sure your calories are in check. Of course, you do want to prioritize food quality within that, but the food timing, meal timing is going to be not as important. Of course, eating at a regular time for you is going to be important, but you don't have to be fasting unless that helps you, unless you're someone who doesn't like to eat in the morning. Go for it, but it's not going to be more beneficial. Hi, Crystal. I'm good, Andy. Thank you. How are you? Alan, hola. Modaz, hello. Adam. 13, Deep Man, hello. Hello, IFWM. I think it's funny that you call me IFWM instead of my name. IFWM is definitely in my username, but that's just referring to the structure of flexible dieting that I typically recommend. What's a good plan to consume to heal and recover? You broke your collarbone, man. Well, best of luck with that. I know like it's a really, really scary injury to deal with. I've had friends who broke that and like almost died because it like broke through. Oh my God, it's so scary. Anyway, I wouldn't even worry so much about being perfect in terms of the recovery process. It's going to be individual. Just make sure that you're, actually giving yourself time to recover, prioritizing nutrient-dense foods like fruits, veggies, lean protein. Just make sure you're eating enough, because if you're not eating enough calories, if you start rapidly losing weight when you're trying to recover, it's going to prolong your recovery time. So I would, just make sure you're eating plenty. If you already track, just keep tracking your calories. It'll help to make sure you're actually getting enough calories in. Hospital Prots for the win. Love it. John, hello, what's up? SMH. Not sure what's funny, but hello. Martinez, Pablo, what's up? Hi, Elizabeth. Is there an Elizabeth in here? My name's not Elizabeth, that's for sure. Hi, is it okay to inbox you? If you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them right now. This is the best way to go about it, because while I do answer DMs, the majority of my time is prioritized to my clients because they ask me lots of questions and I'm able to talk to them. That's not via inboxing, DMing, it's via phone. So if you do have questions, these live Q&As are for that. I would highly recommend asking them right now. I'm taking advantage of that. Liechtenstein, thank you. You're welcome. GM, can you please read my message? If you want to just type it right now, I'll be able to read it right now. I just found out that there is a gym 2 floors down, so I'm going to try to get some lifts in over the weekend. Awesome, that's dope. Be able to get that in while you're there. All right, so curling my eyelashes right now. I'm going to be doing my makeup, so isn't it crazy how much of a difference it makes? Oh, man. Eyelash curlers for the win. So, anyway, let me know what questions you guys have. Training, nutrition, life, whatever questions you have. If it's individual to you, if it's generic, an overlying question, whatever that may be, let me know. because I'm going to be live for probably like an hour or so. Giovanni, hello. So, yeah, let me know. I feel like people are being a little bit shy. Bud, hello. Andre, what's up? Let me know what questions you guys have. Here, you know what? I bet some of you are not knowing to ask questions. I'm going to type it. All right, so yeah, just drop your questions in the comments. And then I will answer them as I'm doing this. Okay, I'm going to pin this comment now. Amelia, hello. Ollie, hello. What's your opinion on creatine for women? Creatine is the most researched supplement out there, pretty much, for anyone. So there's no gender differences, sex differences. So I highly recommend it if you are somebody who consistently lifts and is already consistent with their nutrition, sleep, stress management, etc. It's not a magical supplement by any means, but it will definitely help with your training performance. It's, like I said, it's like the most highly researched supplement out there. And I do recommend, for any supplement that you are like wondering about, examine.com will be your best resource. They compile all of the research so that you can understand what the benefits are, how much research is backing it, if it's actually effective or not. So examine.com, highly recommend. How are you doing? I'm great, thank you. Can you use creatine when pregnant? So there's very limited research on that because, of course, it's just, like, do you really want to take pregnant people and, test supplement on them? They did do it with rats, but be wary of like comparing animal studies to humans. That's a lot of times how fear-mongering happens with foods and any ingredient in general, is people are like, oh, but this animal studies show that, the rats got cancer, and it's like, yeah, but they gave them like 10,000 times the dose and you would never consume that much, things like that. So I, just to, to err on the side of being safe, I wouldn't really take any supplements when pregnant, because one, when you're pregnant, like, you actually have increased blood volume anyway, so you're actually going to be stronger in the gym. So yeah. Joey, fasting and hormones in females. So fasting isn't necessary. There's been some research to show that like doing a fast can be beneficial for hormones, just for people in general, but for most people that's not going to be a sustainable thing to do. I know some people do it for religious purposes, and I think that's great, spiritual reasons, but it's not going to be more or less beneficial. What matters most is that you are being consistent overall with your nutrition, with your exercise, whatever that exercise looks like to you, with your sleep, with your stress management, all of those things. Hi, Kim. Hello. Nurse Danielle, what's up? Yeah, so I'm going to move on to, to my makeup so I actually get this done. All right. But I'm going to keep answering questions, so go ahead and keep typing them. I just need to make sure that I'm actually doing this at the same time. Hola, precioso. Thank you. Probably butchered that pronunciation. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. My nose is literally not stopping running. Ugh. Started snowing today. I was like, thought we were over this, but no, we're not. I'm a fan of warmer weather. I was freezing trying to sleep last night. And I do prefer to be cold when I sleep, but not that cold. Where is my eyeshadow primer? What did I do with it? It's not good. I need to find this. Where did it go? Yeah, I don't know what I did with it. It's not good. Hello from Canada. Very cool. Hello from Ohio. Okay, last thing, L-carnitine. L-carnitine is not necessary. So like I mentioned earlier about examine.com, best resource for that. You can read up on how it's really not necessary or beneficial. Be safe because coronavirus is here. Yeah, man. This stuff, it's so scary, like whenever there's like outbreaks of illnesses, and especially because like people are saying that the reported amounts of like the reported cases is actually like what they're reporting right now is actually seems to be a lot lower than what's actually happening, so that's a bit scary too. Move to Florida. No, I'm moving to California though, so why is it so expensive? Like L-carnitine. Oh, supplements are expensive because, I mean, products, they can be expensive for no reason at all. They like supplements are literally sold on the basis that they try to tell you that like, oh, if you take this, all your problems are solved, even though like you need to have consistent nutrition and exercise for any of those supplements to work in the first place. And most people don't have that, and they're looking for a magic pill or something. And of course they can jack up those prices, especially supplements are so cheap to make that if they can make a huge margin of profit, because like say for example, BCAAs, it's probably costing them maybe $1 per tub to make. They sell for $60 a tub, like that profit is huge for them. So yes, I need my eyeshadow primer. Where did I put it? This is ridiculous. I don't know where I could have possibly. Oh, I found it. Yay. Okay, sorry that I just disappeared off camera. Okay. Hina, can I work out in the first trimester? As long as your doctor says so, go for it. But I would always consult with your OBGYN during pregnancy, because it's going to be specific to you. I was a high risk pregnancy, so I was not allowed to work out at all because I was forced to go on bed rest. But it's different for everybody. For most people, it should be safe. Just, of course, be careful. Is it important or beneficial to eat carbs pre and post workout? It is definitely beneficial. For most people, they feel better, they perform better, they have better energy. If they're eating plenty of carbs pre and post. So especially when you're in a fat loss phase, you'll want to prioritize your carbs around that time so that you're not getting so weak. You'll feel better when you train, just in general. Because when you're in a fat loss phase, you're already on limited calories anyway. So if you try to prioritize it around your training will benefit. You'll be able to retain more muscle, etc. And you won't lose strength as quickly over that period of time. But of course, that's for if you're really trying to optimize. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. Your overall calories and your protein are going to be what matters most. But that's if you really wanted to prioritize your training, which isn't for everybody. But, Mauricio, hello, thanks me straight to the point. I really try to be, no BS here. So I really want people to know what actually matters. Finessa, what a name, Finessa, I love it. Finessa Fit, how do you stay consistent when it comes to being on your cycle? Of course, I take Midol for the pain. I do too. My period's coming in like 3 days, I think. But when you get sluggish and tired in the gym and your cravings get in the way. So when you're on your period, the the cravings, you actually truly have increased hunger. It's not just like so when men are like, they don't understand your cravings because, of course men get cravings too, but like you actually truly have, it's not just perceived hunger, you have increased hunger, you actually require more calories. Your body burns more calories when you're on your period because of what it's doing. So you actually require like 200 more calories, 200 to 300 more calories during that time. So it may help you to bump up your calorie goal during that time frame so you don't end up going overboard. Because for example, say you're in a fat loss phase and during the week of your period, say like your calories have been at 1600 calories and you have major cravings and you're really trying to stick to those 1600 and you didn't bump up your calories or honor your cravings, you'll likely go overboard and you may go over by 800 calories or something. But instead, say if you bumped up your calories by like 200 calories on a daily basis for that week, and you were able to fit in your cravings within those calories, you're much more likely to actually stay on track for that week of your period, which is a much more difficult time. So with training, it depends on the person. Some people have much more fatigue than others. Some people like have really, really severe cramps and pain, so they like training doesn't make them feel better. For most people though, staying active does help. So not just with lifting, but just like moving more, going on walks more, because the more that you sit, you kind of feel like that bloating. Make sure you're on top of your sleep, your water intake, everything that you would normally be in control of, but try to pay a little extra attention to that. What do you think of intermittent fasting? Well, it's the second time I got that question today. So it's not more or less beneficial than anything else. It's just helpful if you are having trouble staying within your calorie goal when you're in a fat loss phase. Since you have limited calories, if you limit the amount of time that you're eating those calories, it may help you stick to that. But if you're someone who loves breakfast and you eat breakfast every day, then I wouldn't recommend it, because it's not going to help you stay on track. Maywan, hello, hi Mish. Which weightlifting exercises are better for those with a weak left knee? I think hip hinge exercises are better in this case. I stopped doing back squats and my knee feels better. I'm not sure if my back squat weight was just too high, or perhaps my form and technique was poor. Form and technique will definitely play a role. But finding what works best for you based on your pain and injuries is important. So I think it's important to work around those, because there's plenty of exercises that are still going to be just as effective, as long as you are, still training all the muscle groups that you're intending to, and you're training consistently. And of course, you're on top of your nutrition, your sleep, your stress management. That's what's going to matter most. Like squats aren't necessary to make progress. They're helpful. They're a great compound movement, but you don't have to do them. Okay, I'm going to do my eyeshadow now. Fine, Nessa, thank you so much. You're so helpful. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that feedback. Okay, now on to my eyeshadow. I think it's dry now. Okay, it's dry now. All right, what shall I do today? A bronze eyeshadow look, like always. I'm so predictable. I'm sorry. All right, of course, a bronze eyeshadow look, as always. I just can't help myself. So this is a ColourPop eyeshadow. Wow, you can't even see what it says, can you? Ah, there it goes. Huh. Nude Mood. Love it, Nude Mood. Okay, anyway, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start with this very light tan shade, Bare to Wear. I'm going to put that in my crease. All right, Valerie. Hi, how do you know when you should drop your calorie deficit, and how drastic should you go? Is 150 calories enough? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. So how do you know? So one, if you're monitoring your progress, so taking progress pictures, measurements, daily weigh-ins, and looking at your weekly weight averages, and you're looking at all of those factors, if everything has stalled, like you're not seeing physical changes and your weight's not dropping, no measurement changes. When you look at your pictures, there's no changes there either. If all of that has not changed in at least 2 weeks' time, and you know that you have been on top of it, like you would rate yourself at least a 9 out of 10 in terms of consistency with your sleep, your water, your nutrition, your calories have been consistent, and your training has been consistent. If everything, you would literally give yourself like an A for the past couple of weeks and nothing has changed, then it would be time to make an adjustment. A lot of times though, people jump the gun and think they've hit a plateau when it's only been like a week. So make sure you're giving yourself enough time. Make sure you're paying attention to where you are in your cycle. So, if you're expecting your period, your weight's going to be a bit higher. You're going to feel a little bit more bloated and watery and soft. Wouldn't make a change during that time. So if everything has been on point, you're not expecting your period, you're not extremely stressed, you're not getting really, really poor sleep or anything like that, then it would be time to make an adjustment. And yes, usually it's enough to make an adjustment of roughly 100, 150 calories or so to your calories, depending on how much of a stall it is. I would start with a small adjustment, and then you can always increase that adjustment as needed, but just take away a little, and then you can always take away more if needed, as opposed to taking away a bunch and then being like, well, now I'm getting really hungry and it's difficult to sustain. So you can either take away calories from food or take away calories by increasing how much you're burning by adding in cardio, or you could do a little bit of both. Thanks for the advice. You're welcome, Maywan. Sandra, favorite lower body exercises? Thank you for answering. I learned so much from you. Oh, I appreciate that. I'm so glad to hear that because that's my goal. My favorite lower body exercises, I love hip thrusts. I really, really have a good mind-muscle connection with my glutes with hip thrusts. I think a lot of people do benefit from them. I have a love-hate relationship with RDLs, Romanian deadlifts. I hate them because they're very tiring, but I love them because they're very effective. And I think everybody can benefit from having a hip hinge movement of some sort. So those are my two favorites. Sorry, I'm just going in with a slightly darker color now. It's Au Naturel is what the name of the shade is. So, all right. Is it Lukman? Hello, Nurse Danielle. Thoughts on in-body and DEXA scans? In-bodies are very, very, very inaccurate, so I definitely don't recommend them. And I know a lot of people get them done just because it's convenient. It's on almost every commercial gym, and usually the trainers at that gym don't know that it's not an accurate thing at all. That's the thing. They're not told that. Of course, the company selling the in-body scans to the gyms sell it on the basis that, oh, this is really accurate, but it's not. So even if you drank a little bit more water than usual, it will skew what it says when you step on it and hold on to those handles. So it could say that you gained body fat when really you're just more hydrated than you were the last time. So those are not accurate. No body fat measurement is going to be super accurate, and that I don't really recommend taking those measurements unless you really, really care to. It's not going to be like, knowing your body fat percentage isn't really helpful if you're of a normal weight. And even if you aren't, even if you're overweight, like you can tell fat loss progress without getting body fat measurements done. And does it really help to know if you're 18 versus 20% body fat? No, like you can see those changes with progress pictures, weight, measurement, taking measurements. Anyway, DEXA scans will be more accurate. DEXA scans would be much, much, much more accurate. Those and underwater hydrostatic testing would be like the most, and BOD-POD, those would be the most accurate. But like I said, it's really not necessary, and those are very expensive. Nice. Where are you from? I'm currently in Ohio. I'm originally from Japan. And how important are rest days? Oh, absolutely. Rest days are super important. A lot of people think they need to be training like every single day. That's definitely not true, because if you're not giving yourself rest days, then your muscles can't repair themselves and recover and grow. You get really burnt out if you're not taking rest days. So I would have at least one full rest day, even if you're being active on the other ones. Valerie, you're welcome. Saludar. Hello. Sally, hello. How do you feel about using the machine where you're laying down on your stomach to work your butt by kicking your legs as a machine to use for hip thrusts? I saw someone do that the other day. Okay. So you're lying down on a machine to train your glutes? Or are you saying you're doing hip thrusts on the prone leg curl machine? I do that. I do that, or leg extension. I honestly feel like it's a better setup for me. It takes less time. I don't waste time setting up, and I'm able to still control the load. I can use, however much weight I need to. If that's what you're talking about, doing hip thrusts on a machine. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna... Okay, so now I'm using a denser brush, and I'm gonna take the darkest shade. It's called Moody. Okay, tapped off a little too much. Yeah, that's what I was saying, that machine for hip thrusts. Yes. I actually think it definitely can be helpful, especially it's going to depend on the machine, and your height and everything. Sometimes the leg extension machine will be a better fit. Just depends on the machine, because they're all built differently. So I usually do it on a leg extension, but I have found occasionally that a leg curl machine will work for that. Just depends on how high the seat is. Because if the seat is like a little too high, then my upper back will be too high compared to my knees, and then it's not helpful for hip thrusts. So there's many ways to do hip thrusts. You can do them with a dumbbell, you can do it with a barbell, you can do it on a leg extension or a leg curl machine. It's pretty nice that you can do all those different things. Sorry. Cool, good to know it works for that. Yeah, absolutely. Should you train when sore if you've given a rest day for that muscle group? So the only way to be able to adapt to a program is initially training when you're sore, because otherwise you'll never adapt and you'll always undertrain. But if you're having an extreme level of soreness where it would actually impact the quality of your workout, then yes, you should rest or train a different muscle group, different muscle group, train different muscle groups that day. Might need to change around the schedule of your training. So yes, I know soreness is definitely, I feel like people think that soreness is an indicator of a good workout, but it's not. Not in your questions case, but I know a lot of people do think like, oh, I'm really sore today, that means I had a good workout, but that's not what it means. Soreness is dependent on a lot of factors, so just to keep that in mind as well. So yeah, let me know what other questions you guys have. I feel like I didn't put as much of this lighter shade on my right eye. My goal this year is to be able to do pull-ups because I'm the worst at them. Any tips on building up to it besides pull-up machines? I'm doing that too. Is it just working mainly on back muscles? So working up to pull-ups, I love that goal. I think that's awesome to have other specific goals that aren't necessarily like appearance-based. And then, so I actually don't really recommend using a pull-up machine because it usually doesn't quite mimic a natural like pull-up, like the movement, because it restricts like the path that you're doing. I was looking for that word. The path that you're doing like the pull-ups, and because you're like, you're forced to go like straight up and down. So what I would actually recommend instead is doing assisted pull-ups by using a resistance band. So what you can do is you loop the resistance band like one handle, and then you step on the resistance band. You can use and then that way you can vary. Over time, you can use less resistance. So first starting off with like a thicker band that provides more assistance, and then going to a lighter one, or, using multiple bands and taking away bands over time. That will help you get more of the pull-up strength, more than doing it on an assisted machine where it's a bit unnatural feeling. The other thing would be doing eccentric pull-ups. So that would be focusing on the negative portion of the movement, the eccentric. So that would be when you're lowering yourself down. So what you would do is have the resistance band or like a box or a step, bench, whatever, to step on, and then you jump up into the pull-up, and then you slowly release yourself, so you'll feel the stretch in your back. And yes, I am sweating, even though I have deodorant on. And then doing that, like releasing for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then you jump back up, and then you slowly release for 3-4 seconds, because then you'll get stronger at that portion of the movement, and that will really help with your pull-up strength. And then yes, of course, just getting a stronger back in general will help. Long story, but I've been watching you and Ryan since y'all first started lives. I was in a super unhealthy marriage and I looked at your and Ryan's relationship. It gave me hope. I'm now in a great relationship and just want to say I love watching y'all's love. It's inspirational. That means so much to me, so thank you. I feel very, very, very lucky to have Ryan. I'm really, really glad that you're in a great relationship now. Eddie, why are you such a badass? Your physique is out of this world. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry. Need to blend. Okay. Yeah. I think this brush is reaching its end here. It's not blending as well as it used to. Graham, girls, how can a girl naturally boost testosterone? Mine is non-existent, but DHEA is normal. So I honestly, when it comes to hormones, I wouldn't worry so much about how. I would honestly seek your doctor's advice on this hormonally, because they're going to be able to be more help to you and make sure your testosterone levels are actually where they need to be, etc. So yeah, that's what I would recommend when it comes to hormones, because there will be people online who are spouting all kinds of bullshit claiming that it's going to fix your hormones. I would listen to your doctor on that. Sally, hello. Not that I would ever spew bullshit. Yeah. What other questions you guys have?
I need underwear. I need my undies.
Huh?
I need my undies.
Hold on. Ah.
Thank you.
Sorry. Ryan needed his undies. Just got out of the shower, so.
Naked.
Naked. How are you, lady? I'm good. How are you? Okay, now I'm gonna put the shimmer stuff on my eyes. So this is Lap of Lux, the bronze color. Okay. Where you come from? I am currently in Ohio. Alright. And I'm gonna blend that out. So yeah, let me know what questions you guys have, training, nutrition related, life, makeup, whatever it may be. Happy to answer them. Is it Ari? Or I'm so sorry. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your full username. Hi, I was wondering, I just started working out and I'm having trouble finding a plan for my diet. I have no clue where to start. Do you have any advice? Try kerosene. I'm guessing you meant keto. Yeah, I figured it auto-corrected, but I heard it's not healthy. So whenever you're looking at nutrition, you want to think of what's going to be sustainable for you, because healthy is subjective. It's going to depend on the context. You know, is it a corrective diet where Somebody is having, oh, it says it's reconnecting. Okay, there we go again. Sorry. So, is it corrective? Is it for somebody who's just trying to maintain their health, etc.? There's different reasons why somebody is focusing on their nutrition. So with that said, you want to do something that you're going to do long term that's going to actually suit you. So pretty much regardless of your goal, everybody should be eating plenty of fruits and vegetables and lean protein because that all fits into part of your health. But being in control of your calories is what's going to allow you to make progress in terms of physical changes, especially like if you're looking for weight loss, muscle gain, whatever it may be. So your protein needs to be in check and your calories need to be in check. Keto is just a form of restricting your calories by taking away carbs. There's many different ways that people can restrict their calories. That's what they do. Any of those diets, all that it does is restrict your calories in some way. So you don't have to restrict foods in order to do that. You just need to be in charge of your calories, which you can do by tracking your food and eating the things that you enjoy within that while prioritizing fruit, veggies, lean protein, all those things. So if you're tracking your calories, then you're able to monitor how much you're eating, and then you're able to make the changes you need to based on your goal. So if you're trying to gain weight, you'd be able to bump up your calories because you would know how much you're truly eating, and it wouldn't be a shot in the dark like, oh, I don't know what to do now, I've hit a plateau. You would know exactly what to do because you have your calories in check. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend keto for most people because if you love carbs, if you know eventually you would want to eat carbs again, I wouldn't recommend it because the transition out of keto is where most people fail. When people say diets don't work, what they really mean is that what they're usually referencing is this one study, a study that's shown that people rebound after and they gain the weight back. But that doesn't mean the diet didn't work. It did work. They did lose the weight, but then they gained it back because those diet methods were restrictive and unsustainable and they didn't know how to maintain their weight afterwards. They went back to eating the way they used to. What is your height and weight? I am just under 5'4". I usually just say 5'4", but I am a little under and I'm shrinking. So I am like 5'3 3/4" or something like that. And then my weight, I'm range anywhere between like 116 to 118. So, do you and Ryan still count macros? When we are focusing on a specific goal, yes. But for us, we've been tracking for 7 years. We don't have to track in order to still be on track. Do you need to do cardio to lose fat? No, but cardio is good for your heart health, so it is nice to incorporate it in, it's not necessary. It's a helpful tool for fat loss, but it's not necessary. If you're in a calorie deficit just on the basis of your nutrition, you're still going to lose fat. But it's better, optimal if you're also doing other things and not just taking away calories. It'll be a lot easier to sustain it if you have some form of exercise that you rely on, and especially if you're looking to lose fat specifically and not just lose weight, I would recommend resistance training so that you can actually maintain that muscle that you have, or even build muscle if you're new to lifting, so that you're losing just fat and not losing fat and muscle. So it's going into ketosis is not a real thing. No, it 100% is a real thing. But keto works not because of ketosis, but because of calorie restriction. It's just changing what your body is using. You're just not eating carbs anymore. So you go into ketosis, but it's not more or less beneficial than not being in ketosis. And for most people, it's really not sustainable because in the long run, when they go to a wedding, they can't have cake. When they go to holidays, they can't eat the things that are served that they really love, and they may feel restricted and deprived. And then the second that they've lost the weight that they want to, they're like, thank God that's over. I'm done going back to eating the way I used to. And then you haven't been eating carbs in a long time, you suddenly start eating them again, you're more than likely to go overboard because you feel so restricted, and then you gain all the weight back and then some. Especially because in the first part of keto, the reason why people are like, oh my God, keto is it for me, is because in that first week or two, they will drop weight rapidly because they took away carbs. They lose a ton of water weight, like even like 10 pounds. That's not true weight loss. It's just a lot of water weight involved. And they don't know that because they're just looking at that number on the scale, not necessarily their overlying progress. So Thank you so much for that advice. Also, how do you feel about not eating meat? That's a personal preference for moral reasons, but it's not less beneficial for your health to eat meat. Everything in moderation is really what matters. Okay, so I'm gonna put my eyeliner on. How many different exercises should I be aiming to do in one session? So that's going to depend on how many days per week you're training. So you should be looking at your week in total for your training volume. That's what's going to matter the most. So with that, so I'm going to tight line first. So with that being said, if you train, for example, if you train 3 days a week versus somebody training 5 days a week, you're going to be doing more exercises in one session versus somebody who's training 5 days a week, because you're splitting up your volume into a different amount of sessions. But you're looking to train each muscle group 2 to 3 times per week. And with that, you're aiming to train roughly, I believe it's 15 to 20 sets per muscle group total for the week. But then again, training is still something that exercise science, there's new research that comes out constantly, so really focus on, and progressive overload is going to be the most important thing, so following a structured training program and making sure that you are progressing over time. So increasing your training volume means you're increasing the weight that you're lifting, the sets that you're doing, or the reps that you're doing on a regular basis. It's not going to necessarily be linear from week to week, but that's what you're looking for over time. Chatting about your body. What about, I think I'm just answering other people's questions. I'm not really talking about mine unless somebody asks me. So I'm not sure I know what the question is. Do you have a specific question for me? News. I have chapped lip. Sorry, I shouldn't be peeling it. It makes it worse. Any chance Ryan will do a beard tutorial or facial care for men? Would totally watch. I will tell him you said that. I will say though, Ryan will be the first one to tell you this. His beard literally grows in the perfect shape. Like he doesn't get like patches like on his cheeks. Like it literally grows in the perfect shape. And I don't know how that happens, but it just does. So he just trims it. He trims it. He doesn't really have to do anything here. Obviously, like the neck, but like here, it's just like shaped. And I'm like, but he does use my skincare. So, which I'm pretty proud of him for doing that. I turned him on to it. Oh, come on. I know, Desmond. I know. It's so unfair. Meanwhile, like my brother literally can't get his beard to grow. He can only get a goatee. So, everyone's different, I guess, genetically with what their beard will do. Not a question, but putting sugar and honey and using a toothbrush to scrub your lips works wonders. I have heard sugar scrubs help with the lips, and my lips have been ultra chapped lately, so I'm gonna need to do that because I need to stop picking at my lips and then getting little raw spots on them. So yeah, thank you for that. I will definitely do that. I'll get like one of my older toothbrushes and scrub away. Okay. Thank you, Balti. So yeah, let me know what questions you guys have. How do you deal with people saying muscular women look too manly? I ignore them. You can't argue with them, can't change their mind. Everybody will have their own opinion, and those people are just people who are too judgmental. So that's what I think of those people. And I'm like, you know what? Even if I didn't like somebody's physique, I would never express that because my parents taught me better. My parents taught me to keep my mouth fucking shut if I didn't like something about someone else, because who goes around and spreads negativity, right? I think if somebody says that, it's because they're insecure about their own body in some way, so they take it out on others. And that's pretty much how it is for anything negative. Whatever people say or get offended by is a reflection of something internal. So, yeah, and like one of those people who thinks that is my ex-boyfriend, who happens to be the father of my child. So I've had to undo that learning with her, which has been interesting. I mean, honestly, she doesn't have much of an issue with that message because Ryan is very supportive of me, and she actually really, really enjoys being active, and she likes being strong, and she'll tell me all the time, like, look, mommy, I'm strong. So I'm really, really grateful for that. But yeah, that was one of the most painful things I've ever heard, was her coming home from his house and saying that, oh, well, my dad told me that women shouldn't look like that. Girls can't have that much muscle. I'm like, oh, really? So, how much alcohol affects your workout? It really impacts your performance for sure. So they've done some studies on this, and it definitely impacts your recovery from training and your ability to train. So that's why moderation matters. I mean, I would still get in your workout, the day after drinking or something, but beware, moderation. What's your favorite concealer? Oh man. So I have a lot. It's like me and lip liners. I have lots of different ones. I don't really know that I have a favorite out of these because I love all of these and they all have different purposes. Depends on what I'm going for that day, but for the most part I usually don't wear foundation. Today I will be, but usually I don't. So on those days where I'm not wearing foundation, if I want something that looks a bit more skin-like, the Maybelline Fit Me concealer is my favorite. I have 2 shades of it. I have one that matches my skin tone and one that's lighter for like under the eyes. So I use the shade light for under my eyes, and I use the shade medium for just my face. I also love the Rimmel Lasting Finish one. This one is really, really nice for like a natural finish. I love this one. But I don't use a sponge tip applicator. I just put it like on my hand and then I apply it, because you never know how much is going to come out of here when you squeeze it, which I don't like about the packaging. And then I really, really, really am liking the ColourPop Pretty Fresh concealers. These are really nice. They do dry down pretty quickly though, so you have to work with them fast. So that's what I'll say about those. And if you are someone who likes more matte, I haven't been using these quite as often because I'm not really a matte person very much. The Wet n Wild Photo Focus concealers are really nice for that. Okay. Does keto boost testosterone? Not to my knowledge, and I would focus less on trying to like optimize hormones and more on what's going to be sustainable for you in the long run in the way that you eat. I'm sorry, excuse me. In the way that you eat, and that it actually supports your performance overall and your health overall. Best way to get rid of cellulite. I would try not to focus on getting rid of a thing like that. When we focus on like one thing to get rid of, it makes us like a harsher critic on ourselves, because pretty much everyone has cellulite. In terms of women, it's like over 90% of women have it. I still have cellulite even though I'm pretty lean. And the amount of cellulite that you have is going to be genetic to an extent. So some people just never have cellulite. Very, very small percentage of people. And some people will only see their cellulite go away if they're like contest lean. Me. That's literally the only time that I see my cellulite go away. Is it sustainable for me to stay at contest lean, like below 15% body fat all the time? No. So I would keep that in mind. But in terms of like reducing it, you can't spot reduce. Just like you can't like just reduce cellulite, you can't spot reduce fat on the body. But losing overall body fat will help. So to do that, to lose fat, you need to be consistent with your nutrition, meaning your calories need to be in check. Training, whatever form of exercise that you can be consistent with, sleeping well, drinking enough water, all the basics, having those in place are going to be what matters for that fat loss. Who's your female bodybuilding idol? So there is a person currently who she's the Miss Olympia physique, women's physique, and then also she won the Arnold too, and her name is Shanique Grant. She is incredible. Like, holy shit. Like, if you see her, like, she is perfectly symmetrical and has the most ridiculous proportions ever. Love following her. And she's younger than me. I think she's only like 23. She's amazing. So I do recommend, like, if you're into bodybuilding, like, wow, her physique is phenomenal. But for me, starting out, my first person was Dana Lynn Bailey. I still love her. Like, I competed in physique, which is why I just mentioned 2 women's physique competitors. I love Dana Lynn Bailey. I love her. I got to meet her once in person, and she was so sweet. And I was like, I just wasn't expecting, like, that kind of personality in person. Like, because this was several years ago, so this was before, like, you really saw as many, like, videos and things online. You just kind of see pictures, so I didn't really know what she was going to sound like or be like in person. And, like, I was so surprised by, like, how bubbly and sweet and, like, adorable and tiny she was. Like, she's really small, which you don't necessarily, like, realize when you're looking at pictures of competitors, which is another reason why when people are like, oh, like, you know, like, women who lift are manly, I'm like, you're only seeing, like, that based off of, like, a one-off picture and perfect lighting, like, perfectly flexed, like, everything flexed at one time. Like, if you saw that person walking around in a dress, like, you wouldn't think that. Even so, like, I don't care if you think that women who lift are manly, because I don't care what they think. So, yeah. All right. I'm sorry, I just rambled for quite some time there. So, Ariel, I'm going to ask you to cease those comments, please. I'm married. Just out of respect for me as well. Please don't. All right, going on to my face makeup now. So I am going to do a little bit of spot concealing first before I put on the foundation. All right. Let's see. Might be a little bit light. We'll see. So I'm going to use the ColourPop. And this is the shade Medium Dark 115W in the Pretty Fresh Concealer. I'm not a big fan of the no filter concealer anymore. It's a little too matte for me. It just, not a little, it's way too matte for me now. So I just don't use it anymore. Okay. Well, that's good. And honestly, fingers are an underrated applicator for makeup. I mean, brushes are great, and I love my brushes, and I use them often, but there's a lot of things that fingers can just do on their own, and I think people forget that sometimes. Like, a lot of makeup artists will use their fingers on a celebrity's face. Sometimes you don't need fancy stuff. I've been trying to gain muscle, but I'm scared that if I eat more without the correct exercise, I will just gain fat. Do you have any advice? Sorry for all the questions. No, don't apologize for the questions. I appreciate that you're engaging and asking them. So it's not so much about correct exercise. It's about the rate that you're gaining at and being consistent with everything. So, in terms of gaining muscle, you do need to eat more calories in order to gain, but you need to be gaining at a slow enough rate that you're gaining mostly muscle and minimizing fat gain. If you're gaining too quickly, then you will gain fat. Regardless of what exercise you're doing, you will gain a lot of fat if you gain too quickly. So you want to be gaining roughly like a quarter, if you're a newbie, if you want to be gaining roughly a quarter to a half pound on average per week. I would err on the lower end per week to be able to put on muscle without putting on too much fat. And with muscle gain, it's going to take a long time, so make sure you're committing like at least 9 months to bulking. You might take a break in there for a little bit, for a few weeks or a month or something at maintenance, but you really want to be, like, muscle gain takes a long time. So with that, tracking your calories, making sure that you are eating enough calories and protein, getting enough sleep, managing your stress, getting enough water, and then with training, following a training program that suits you based on your schedule and your goals. So however many days per week that you can commit to, be consistent with that. Welcome to Morocco. I'm not in Morocco. I'm in Ohio. Okay, sorry, I'm going to do my like highlighter underneath, the liquid highlighter, and then I'm going to go on to my foundation. I'm in high school, so I can work out like 3 times a week. Oh, got it. You're in high school. Awesome. Yeah, 3 times a week is perfect. I mean, whatever you can be consistent with, that's what's going to matter the most. So I'm using the e.l.f. Natural Glow Lotion, and I'm just going to put this on the high points of my face. Roy, I'm interested in muscle endurance, running. Got it. Everyone has different goals. Do you have a question, or are you already a runner? What can I help you with? Are there any questions you have that I can answer? All right, I'm gonna let that set a little bit before I put on my foundation. I need water. Oh, okay. So yeah, let me know what questions you guys have. I do generally high reps, low weight. You suggest other. I do not recommend using low weight for anyone, because usually that translates to you're not pushing yourself enough. So it's not about the weight that you're using, but the way that you're training with that. So if you're going high reps, everyone has kind of a different ideal of what that entails. But the training intensity is what matters. If you're not training intensely enough, you can't progress. So make sure that you are gauging how difficult the workout is. If you're not challenging yourself enough, then you're not going to progress. So you should be training close to failure without going all the way to failure, because if you're training failure all the time, then you can't recover well and you can't progress with strength. So it's important that you are training close to failure, really actually gauging how well your training is going on each set. And varying levels of reps are going to be important, but in terms of like low weight versus high weight, it's really going to be based on the number of reps that you're doing, and it's still, no matter what, should be an amount of weight that actually allows you to train to close to failure. Where you find me look like a really cool mix. I appreciate that. I am half Japanese. I was born in Japan. My mother is Japanese. My father is white, Caucasian American. He is part Native American, Cherokee, so I am as well. I want to say I'm 1/8 or 1/16. I don't really remember. Yeah. I just know that I received a partial scholarship based on my heritage for college. So for being Native American, I just don't remember what percentage that is. Believe it's 1/8, but I could be wrong. And in the summertime, it tends to come out more. People tend to just assume that I am Native American in the summer. And all year round, everyone thinks that I'm Latina. But I don't speak any Spanish. I'm not from a Spanish-speaking country, so just letting you know. All right, so I have 30 seconds left. I'm going to end this. I'm going to come right back on. So if you have questions, hold tight. I'm going to be right back.